on it, but for Xioalaohu, a K'Sante takeaway, especially from Shanji, makes a lot of sense in the interim as, okay, LWX still on that hyper carry. Also, as we're talking about the team fighting for this 32% damage 80 carry, is another solid one for FPX.
Absolutely. Now you have to consider, okay, are we doing anything with our enchanters at this point? We don't see a Yuumi or Emilio on the ban list right now. Of course, both of them stack up very well with the Aphelios stand towards that bot side. So that potentially could come through. So it is, however, going to be the Wukong locked in for Aki. And Aki loves this kind of pick to kind of tie the rest of his team together, be that half engaged, have some early pressure. Shanji thinking about the matchup he wants to take it towards this top side. The Renekton has been the meta pick. The Darius has been the Shanji pick, though. It is going to go towards meta, though. Renekton locked in.
I know a lot of top laners right now that are favoring this pick as well. I think viewer perspective was very different, but speaking of Renekton buffs and the changes over towards K'Sante, everyone's looking at this as just the pick to take into that old OP top as we get some strength for Shanji in the laning phase and for Creme as well. We can talk about that in a second because with the Annie locked in, I want to see direction to bot. Because right now, FPX need to ban away from Abel, from Ppgod. They decided to get their solo lanes and just leave Abel and Ppgod on an island here in the second phase.
It's another kind of test of the depth of OMG's bot side as well because of these bans coming through. Because we're not going to see that Xayah Rakan coming through. The Rakan's banned away. You're going to have some enchants banned away by OMG to remove the best options for the Aphelios too. One of the big questions we had coming into summer was, okay, feels like bot lane has been very stale for a while. Who can break this open with some of the new picks coming in, like the Milio? And OMG, they pulled out that Tristana. The Rel's going to be off the table too. A lot of the known kind of work that we've done towards innovating bot lane is being stripped away in this first game.
Getting rid of it again. You mentioned the Rel. I'm glad because that's just been so OP as of recent. Support saying the same thing as Poppy's also taken away. So what do FPX pull up here? Things like the Nautilus open Nymaera and engage support, but maybe they choose to get jungle away. But do you really need to? Is it not better to take support away and then you can pick jungle on 5 to just see what you're dealing with?
Maybe the logic is, hang on, this is OMG. They're going to pick something weird. Let's just save counterpick. We know that the Kha'Zix will have use, and if we're going to go for an engaged support, Kha'Zix has done very well in the LPL, taking Umbral Glaive, especially for stuff like the Annie in the mid lane too, to allow your engagers to come out of Fog of War. Now, if you're going to play something weird at this bot side, you can see Abel, he is a noted Samira player.
Yep.
He was banned so much this week, and we do get ourselves an Abel Samira game. We're in for a treat. Ppgod going to lock in the engage support alongside it. It is a kill lane, and now suddenly, you look at that fourth pick and you say, if you blind picked support and allowed them to take that kill lane, it could have got a little bit hairy. Now they have themselves the last pick, the Alistar locked in, it can disengage some of these picks, and you can't Wind Wall, or Blade Wall, rather in this case, the Alistar combo. I think this is a good last pick for FPX.
It's been a known pick into Abel Samira in the past as well, so you're right. I really love that you pulled up the point that jungle was picked there for the sake of knowing what's going into the bottom lane with OMG. Nymaera, a nice little clean take is for game 1, run me through what's happening here. OMG, we have a lot of all in, but I feel like we're going to be talking about timers a lot for them to get the game moving.
I think reset timers in this game are going to be utterly above importance above all else, because if somehow Ppgod and Abel get a free run in bot lane, they get a 2v1, they get a clean 2v2 with no one else in their lane, that's dangerous. However, on the other side, if Chocho gets out onto the map and punishes someone like that Wukong going a little too aggressively, that can be the turning point too. The last thing I want to talk about is the Herald fight. I look at all these champions, I think there's a real chance for something like this Renekton to start dominating that area of the game in the way that only Renekton can.
Well, look, for OMG, as you said, time is everything, and time in general is everything for OMG in game number 1. FPX, look at their comp. We've seen it so many times. The Kha'Zix, a little bit less forgotten, or, excuse me, more forgotten, I should say, in this current meta, but still picks that we've been experiencing for a while. Let's see if they can chill out and get through this early to mid-game Nymaera, because FPX have been on the rise and rise. It's 4-6 for a team that was struggling in the early part of the split that just got battered around by teams like Ultra Prime, RA, LNG, Top Esports, RNG. They put them on a loss streak, but FPX rose from the ashes. While on the other side, you look at OMG in 4th. A win here puts them up to 7th on their 5-win streak. Can they make it a 6? Are OMG in the top 4? We continue asking that question as we enter Summoner's Rift. Nymaera, side note, We remember the lucky number is usually 8 or 9 in a split. OMG are 2 series away from that. And they could be getting an early playoffs berth if things continue to play out in their favor.
See the late invade being set up for by FPX. Ppgod scouting out towards that bot side invade. Care going to be trading a little bit back and forth. Molten Shield start though from Cat. Stops there being completely free trade.
Not too much you can do with level 1 Alistar. While Nymaera, we got to pull this out. Alistar last pick against Samira, it just hurts so much. Like in a team fight later on, we will experience it, as I'm sure all Samira mains in the chat have. It is just so rough to play Samira and get anything done. And let's not forget, that's not the only backline or like full dive access. Renekton, LeBlanc, Wukong, excuse me, wrong side, Kha'Zix, Xioalaohu on the Cassandre. My point still stands. Flash on Annie. There is a lot of access to just nuke this Samira into the ground if Abel doesn't play it perfectly.
The thing is, I was actually going to take OMG's comp as a reason for that that backline dive point as well, because Alistar is not just great at diving in with some dive buddies, but is awesome when the enemy team is low range as well. Because you got the Samira, yes, you get right on top of them, the Nautilus, the Renekton, and the Wukong. Alistar is going to pop ult and stand on top of them and make their team fights really, really gnarly to pull off. They'll be stuck in this no man land getting CC'd up for forever, while the rest of FPX can hopefully do the work, and hopefully LWX can have some room to free fire in the way that he has done so very impressively for the side of FunPlus Phoenix. However, that might have to be a bit more of a case of who has gold in pocket, because if OMG pull ahead, this isn't going to be Alistar holding the door shut. He's going to get blown away with it, and OMG can run over the team fights.
And the hinges too. I mean, Shanji, Creme, champions that if they snowball, they take over as Hacker. Look at the position coming up here, Nymaera. Shanji in a bad wave state.
Yes, has himself empowered ability, but gets pushed into tower.
Oh, 2 turret shots. He flashes. Hacker just gets a freebie. Flies in. First blood. Timing everything for FPX.
Xioalaohu completely wrecks Shanji in that top side. This is the one point in the matchup where it feels like this happened with the Cassandre Jax matchup too. This is one of the most dangerous points in the game. You pushed in the Cassandre with the first couple of waves, and he can shove you into turret. 2 tower shots for free. That's not about Hacker making it towards top side. Xioalaohu did the heavy work already.
I mean, beautifully set up, and a bit of a whoopsie from Shanji. Also flashing after the double turret shot. Shanji just want to push the wave in, but in front of a Cassandre, why are you ever standing there?
I think he just loses track of what's happening with his melee minions, because if Tao's aggroed onto something else, you can get away with that one. Didn't end up doing so now, and FPX walk away with an important lead towards this top side. Hacker, any early gold on the Kha'Zix will help towards bringing the extra damage profile up. Of course, Kha'Zix can be a bit of a carry, but also getting towards that first item. So important, particularly when you have engaged threats like the Alistar and the Annie, which will very much benefit from Kha'Zix adding to the vision control.
Yeah, also add in, you know, the Umbral Glaive early too. The ability to take out wards in the game when there are so few wards being placed because people lack of committing to things like control wards in the first 15, 20 minutes of the game. I think it's important to note. So Hacker already with double longsword as he comes back. Meanwhile, Aki trying to find an appearance in a bot side. But Hacker's here yet again. Back's going to be cancelled. Hello, you're isolated. It's just a clone for now, and Aki is forced to leave.
That he is. So, Hacker, a player, of course, which has been subbed in and out of this FPX roster, gets himself involved early, and now he's starting to get some vision control for his lanes, stopping OMG, potentially getting themselves their first resets to the game in quite as valuable positions. If you have someone like Ppgod on the map, he's spotted out on that bot river, can't have the same impact as he maybe could do on this Nautilus. As it stands, bot lane has been fairly even. We haven't had our first resets of the game coming towards that, and now Hacker heading towards mid lane.
Oh, Creme's just used Distortion, no ulti available. Hacker still has Flash, but Creme does use the movement speed to just get out of there. And again, Hacker just showing his face in. Precious put in, kind of predicting, but Creme, Distortion should be close as chains don't connect. And Creme just chunked out so that Care can get a bit more pressure in lane.
You could just see the cogs ticking and turning in Hacker's mind there. Does get a good trade onto Creme. However, one thing which LeBlanc has with the Shiv build is you do go to... Hang on, I'm going to hold it to that point. Feels like a fight's maybe brewing. It's going to be fizzled away from because Aki was spotted in that tri-brush. But anyway, yes, you have fleet footwork on the LeBlanc. One of the things, I believe it was Showmaker was talking about this, it reminds me a little bit of the Jace conversation. You don't have sustain on LeBlanc. It's one of her big kind of balance points as a champion. If you take a good trade against her, she tends to stay at that HP. Fleet footwork, auto-attacking champions, it does very much help keep you a little bit more topped up.
I mean, again, the ability to do so as well with the coach's shard. Really good point to raise. It's Hacker invading. He's setting up a top side, but it's only because Shanji is clearing the way, pushing up. He's got no TP, so if Hacker finds him here, they will be able to shove top side, but he's just backing away, not overextending with mid moving, and Aki also doing the same. Gromp will just be left for the time being.
Yeah. Now, Renekton has hit the Exodia point of the game, where people haven't hit their first item yet, and he has Dominus. And of course allows you to tick up in terms of your rage, gets you some extra damage and HP as well. It means that you get 2 or 3 empowered abilities before you get burst out, which is what happens later into the game. It's one of the reasons why Renekton is kind of back onto the meta menu, because he can really abuse this point of power very, very well right now. Very interested to see now if Shanji can make up for some of those earlier mistakes, that death under turret, to take over part of this top side for OMG, particularly around that Herald.
It's coming up. 10 seconds and a minute on top of that. Some people would just say a minute 10 if they were normal. Dragon's also sitting there. We haven't looked at it for now, but wards are placed by FPX. And Aki just going to get topside scuttle. So even after that punish in topside, I mean, FPX take a lead, but nothing really happening here. And we've got to remember, Nymaera, we did talk about it. If nothing's happening, let's be real, FPX, the winner's out. They know that they've stifled some of the tempo in top, and they're just continuing to pace this game out. Slower Dragon, beneficial for them.
And what was important about that last minute was we did see Chocho find himself a reset, walk towards the top side, and just be on call in case something did happen towards that top side. It's that kind of forethought which can really help you flip fights if they do end up that way, because Ppgod was not there at the same time. We did say that the first resets of the game could potentially be very important, but OMG in their own right haven't reached their first skirmishes of the game yet. OMG probably do want to start pulling that trigger. Maybe they will be beyond first item at this point. You are waiting for the Shiv, I suppose, and that LeBlanc to start taking off. But OMG, they'd love some extra golden pocket.
Well, at least to make something happen, it would really escalate the game. Herald is a question as Xioalaohu just puts a ward down. No one there. Aki going about his clear. He's only got a camp up in this top side, so maybe now it's just towards Herald. As Creme does have the shove towards mid, and that means OMG might be able to get this party started in Baron's stepsister.
So, you don't really want to walk up to Renekton around Herald. They are moving, and maybe things change if you have an extra member involved, but still, again, this is the point of power for Renekton. Very, very strong here.
Also got the Tabbies as well, so again, Aphelios, Kha'Zix, who also has an Umbral Glaive to mention. Might be worth considering the fight, but Hacker has just been given access. We're just bouncing back and forth with these waves. Abel's also stayed bot. So Nymaera, OMG committed to Abel being down. He's going to be spotted on a ward, moving, then back, and FPX are like, cool, we know we can just continue taking this objective.
So yeah, not necessarily playing towards the Renekton point of power are OMG. They lead their AD carry bot lane, get the guaranteed gold towards Abel, building up towards their first item. Has that the Vamp Scepter alongside the Dirk, so we are going to see potentially a Duskblade coming through. Be interested to see what the build path will be. We see a couple of different options. Shanji going to recall now. However, what you've now done is you've cross-mapped and given up Herald to a Chakram Aphelios. This feels like a bit of a mistake. OMG, they're keeping the Renekton topside, but he's alone right now.
I mean, how long until he makes the engage? Look, no one's nearby. Shanji's just waiting, hoping he'll get LWX isolated, but it's 3 members. Hello, there's Shanji. Wants to clear the wave. He's going to be gravitamed. But against an Alistar and a Herald, what do you do? OMG. Like, bot side for a Sabira versus a Crescendum of Aphelios. What are they thinking?
I couldn't tell you that one. I'm not sure myself. LWX gets so much gold off this. I don't know whether this will be the full tower, but it's going to be damn close. I think it is. That is a 5-plate trade across the map, and the gold which you get from Abel staying bot side is completely nullified by the superior Herald trade.
Care catches mid. Looks like a plate might be found here, so OMG getting some gold, but again, some gold is nothing in comparison to FPX being 2k gold ahead at 10 minutes with this comp. Nymaera, this is just a bit of a whoopsie here for OMG, who are being scattered around the map, but just don't feel like they have a game plan so far.
And I get that OMG occasionally in these first games take a little while to get going. They'll often drop a game 1 and come back in a game 2 or 3 of a series, but that doesn't really excuse whatever the heck just happened around that Herald. It felt like they had some options to go towards it. FPX calling the bluff, though, getting a lot of gold onto that AD carry, which has done so much work for them this split.
So let's give some comparison. This Chocho just going to be chained up here. Good little piece of damage, but not enough to try and force that ulti. OMG were able to get something to Abel. So gold in the form of 2 plates. A side note, that mid plate went down as we saw on our screen. So 3 plates in total. Like OMG missed out completely, but still massive for FPX as Kraken's now been picked up. I've even got a Thornmail first for Xioalaohu Nymaera. But against this comp, I get it. I completely get it. Renekton, Wukong, like Divine Thunder usage with Abel on a Samira. If there's a comp to build it against, I feel like this is right.
I completely agree. Speaking of those first items, we have a lot of them coming in across the board with the Umbral Glaive being picked up from Hackett. We always talk about that with Kha'Zix. Feels like it's so important for him at a professional level to build that item. And then you also have, it's not really a first item, it's just the shoes on your feet, but you have mobility boots for Chocho. You don't need the tanky stats for the Alistar as much if you have your ultimate available. It does mean he can be at the right place at the right time more often. So really, again, keep your eyes out for the resets from this Alistar. I think because Chocho's managed to survive lane, he's in a really good spot to start influencing the first fights of the game, should OMG take them.
And the first fights where, you know, you're relying on people like Abel as well to get in a position to pull out that, I keep saying Chrono Trigger, Inferno Trigger. No, I'm thinking of the game like Time Crisis or something like. Oh no, Devil May Cry. Sorry, completely.
Yes, that is in fact what Samira is completely based off of.
Yep. Okay, there's Flash on a ward. There you go. Tibbers comes out. They all dive in. Ppgod gets out. CC doesn't connect, and I think that's because Merp Treads literally just saved his life.
Talked about the importance of mobility boots for the Alistar. The Nautilus does need those tank stats and uses them effectively. Ppgod not going to go down for that first play of the game. Abel is sat on the turret collecting this wave out, but I mean, despite the fact that you burned that flash, flash for the Annie versus the Nautilus, Nautilus has Hex Flash. Ppgod will be happy to keep that one in inventory, and it has been a very, I want to say uncharacteristically slow game for OMG in particular. They do sometimes wait for the first explosive skirmish in the game. Feels like top esports kind of lights how the top esports used to play. Wait for that first fight of the game and then explode the game afterwards. But it's been a long time waiting for that first fight.
Again, like it's 13 minutes in, plating's almost down. And it's not like OMG have dominated their lanes. You know, 20 CS lead mid. Even towards bot side. In fact, it should be LWX with this push out with Abel deciding to back now, or at least cancelling that. But he should be close as LWX has the right guns to duel anyone right now. And Abel just making sure that the wave does not crash in. He doesn't miss out too much. But further to what I was just saying, I mean, Nymaera, like, even topside, you don't care as a Cassante. Jungle has a lead for FPX, for God's sake. It's nothing to really, it's nothing to really cry about. If you're FPX, honestly, and with 45 seconds till Dragon, even if you lose this one, let's be real, it's 14 minutes where we're talking about the second Dragon being up. It hasn't been that early for OMG to take the first.
No, but we do, however, have first items for them coming through. We talked about it on the side of FPX. We have the Duskblade coming in for Samira. So if you lose the first kill of the fight against OMG, the untargetability, invulnerability rather, comes through for Abel. And the way that it works is that it will last until you take another action, that you end up making an attack. If you're in your ult already, then it just keeps on. So if you FPX lose that first kill because someone's picked out of position, Abel might just be able to run over the fight, and you can't burst them out in a way that you could do a Samira of past seasons. Cad doesn't have Flash, used that before, but he has his ult anyway.
Angle. Oh, it's big. It's a double knockup from Chocho, and the range comes in from LWX, who was already far ahead. Aki is slow with the ulti because his team's already dead. 2 members in a quick instant. I mean, Care just pushes the trigger, and Creme's like, I'll get the turret. He doesn't even commit to the fight.
Again, very strange and a little disconnected from OMG in regards to their macro. It felt like they were trying to control mid-push, but also push in the bot side, but they weren't ready for that fight. FPX picking up a lot of gold here, and you can see the value of a lot of their engaging pieces. You can see Care closes one angle. If Chocho was on a Leona or something like the Nautilus himself, maybe you give that first kill over to Abel and you start spinning around the fight as well. But because of that, the Alistar ultimate makes them a lot harder to take out as that first kill. And OMG, they never get that window into the fight.
It's 2k gold lead still, but on top of that fight, Nymaera, on top of those picks that slow the game down yet again, it's Dragon. that also takes away time from the clock that OMG are dealing with. This is big, and look, I think FPX so far, we got to compliment them. You know, we're talking about OMG not having any options. I think also FPX are not giving them any options in this game and making it ultimately difficult as Care gets half health to play this early game at all.
For sure. We've got the second Herald on the table too. So again, if we're going to continue that conversation of removing options from OMG, taking down something like a mid lane outer turret with the second Herald, with the threat of the big fight coming through again, because you've got Flash Tibbers available now, is a very powerful play that FPX have available to them. And it also stops Creme being able to play out through side lanes in the 1v1s, which he has been taking turrets in, has started to get a significant lead on this LeBlanc. It feels like Creme is maybe the X factor for OMG in the ability to play out the map, because he's pushing in again, hampering FPX in those side lanes. FPX, I think they need to use this Herald to break up in mid lane and again force OMG into a fight which they're not ready for.
So I get easily distracted when I just see Static Shift take away a whole wave. Like, what were we thinking?
What are we saying?
What are we saying? Like, I don't know. Why does that item exist? I'm glad again, as you were saying, because I haven't looked ahead to 13-13. But I'm glad that we're walking away from it as a hacker takes the epic blast cone. Aki ultis, but he's isolated for the time being. Can Shanji turn it around? As here comes a flash on top of... It's a question from Care, but maybe it's still turnable as LWX has got shurikens for days onto Shanji. LWX flashes forward. Look at him go. Hacker now with the Dust Blade is ready to roll, is able to then get a chance to play. Nymaera, it hurts all over his Creme. Almost Shanji'd out, excuse me. That's Xioalaohu on the other side. We're used to the Cassante on his end, but Xioalaohu does it just as dirty. As FPX have done no wrong in this game so far, OMG get nothing.
FPX make the right play. They force a fight when OMG are trying to split the map again and play around multiple lanes with the LeBlanc pushing in towards topside. And it just is so disrespectful of Aki to walk up this far. He didn't have the clone for the start of this fight. You have to imagine, otherwise he would have used that straight away. Aki caught sleeping a little bit. And with a great Zhonya's from Care, it stops him going down for the first kill of the fight. Resets coming through for the side of OMG. OMG are getting out macroed and out fought right now.
It's so impressive from FPX. I mean, again, like, we talked about OMG being in a question for top 3, top 4. This game, I mean, FPX is just like, nah, man, hold my beer. This is a beautiful display of talent as to why FPX have really shaped up to the later half of this very short split. 4-6, and game 1 is looking likely to be an absolute win. Imagine if FPX could beat OMG, then we start talking about how much they're going to be cooking in this brand new kitchen of theirs. Because right now, this is a supreme display. And Nymaera with 5k gold lead at 19 minutes. And with Creme in a bit of danger, like the map is theirs and they are running it well.
Absolutely, 5,000 gold rather, the lead for FPX. Multiple items well over their opponents at this point. Feels like the Renekton pick as well has done very little for the side of Shanji. OMG didn't necessarily play towards it, but Shanji with his own mistake in the laning phase made it harder to play around him in the first place. Now we have that dragon coming up for the side of FPX. It's not going to be towards Soul Point, but just split one dragon apiece. But FPX, I think they're still very happy with how this game is going across. I think OMG, they have one shot left in the chamber, which is just that Baron spawning in 30 seconds. You might just be able to throw everything at that objective and hope that it sticks.
Or maybe get, you know, a Samira fight that you can really value in this game, because we have not seen Abel do much at all interacting with enemy laners. Okay, we're going to keep watching this for the time being, I guess. Creme trying to do his dirtiest against this Cassante, but Xioalaohu just absorbs while the rest of the team, oh man, this is going to be big. Grab a multi, only under 1 for the time being. Able to slow down, but Chocho's angle, hello! It's going to be blocked for the time being, though. His ulti pops out, but FPX are bringing in the cavalry. There's all 5 members joining up. Bazaki gets a good setup. OMG, the dream fight could be theirs as LWX is caught out as well. Their damage piece down. Hack has to get over the wall. And finally, they have woken up. They have gotten the fight handed to them on a silver platter as OMG have a lit.
Creme cancels the teleport from the Cassante and makes the fight better than ever for OMG. They get themselves the first big fight of the game. I don't think this is going to lead into the Baron, which would change the game for them, but it slashes the gold lead to nearly half of what it was. Actually, slightly less than that, but still getting gold back in pocket, getting it into important places. I like the angle from FPX. Again, it's saying, look, you know, OMG, you're playing on multiple lanes. Come respond to us. Come respond to us in mid lane. But they don't get the engage into the right place at this time.
Yeah.
Ppgod's the one that gets engaged onto, and he just doesn't care. It doesn't matter at this point. Aki gets a great engage, uses the clone to avoid a load of the damage, and the teleport is stopped by LeBlanc on the other side, meaning that you don't have to worry about the Passante making a mess of things. It gives just enough space for the Samira to pop off.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I can't believe the ulti continues during Duskblade. Like,
yeah, me neither.
What is that?
I think that is getting removed. I mean, technically it's a channeled ability. You're not. So I mean, in the same way that if you if you have a spell shield and you walk into a Morgana W or something, it doesn't remove the spell shield because it's kind of like it's kind of already in. It has to be cast on you rather than you kind of walking into it while it's already in progress. You're not taking a new action. By the letter of the item and the way that it's coded, it makes sense. It's just not a very fair interaction.
I mean, but you essentially get KO ult while dealing Samira ult. Like,
that is what the item does!
That's bull! That's so dumb! Oh, man. With Cassante, with, like, you know, Nico stuff going on,
it's like,
the Zeri Yumi, just stop it.
Do you play much D&D? Have you played much D&D in the past?
No, not enough.
Okay, so I will have to introduce you to this concept called the Peasant Railgun, where effectively by the letter of the law, because you can, I mean, Creme might just die here.
Hang on.
No, he's in fact just killing Hair.
Oh, Hacker in the right spot, but he can't get it. The flash forward, it's a 1-for-1. Hacker cleans it up in the end, but look towards Baron, your jungler now spotted towards bot side. Nymaera, hold the thought on D&D because OMG is trying to make a play.
Strange rules violations aside, it is that 1-for-1 on that bot side. Creme adding an extra load of pressure onto the map for OMG. It just allows OMG a lot more safety. This time he's answering the Annie, and I think you can understand why Xioalaohu has been the one answering this LeBlanc in the side lane up until this point, because you can see the LeBlanc, the first pick LeBlanc, really starting to get value in the side lanes.
Can I just speak, before going back to the game, and before going back to the fact that it's only a 4K gold lead now, why does Ivan's passive now exist in League of Legends in general? You know? Like, okay, Ivan, so, am I a joke to you? Like, why is that?
So, I understand why they're doing it, because it allows junglers to get farm and experience from buffs later into the game, so they don't fall completely off the planet and just become, like, here's Sir AD carry, have your red buff, Sir AD carry, here, mid laner, have your blue buff as well. It allows them to at least share some of the buffs while continuing to have some extra golden XP. I'm sad that they had to remove a unique mechanic from another champion to do it, but I do understand the value.
I mean, again, it's just a little bit tilting, but getting past that at the very least. Look, there's still a timer in this game, and while we lull about and while we wait for this dragon to spawn with Baron in contingency as well, FPX are actually going to start up the Baron. Good guns for LWX here, and Nymaera. They're just full committing. OMG need to move now. They need to go now.
They don't have the vision. They're teleporting in now.
It's just gone, and Baron for FPX is huge as Chocho zoning them off. Creme is teleported in. Abel is at S rank though. Watch Abel here. The Samira set up as he gets the first kill. Goes invulnerable. We're going to do it again, and Xioalaohu separates the fight. Abel blocking some of the damage over the wall. Creme zones out. Hacker as Abel decides to ult for the hell of it. He's running out of the ranks anyway, and OMG are only able to pick off Chocho. FPX with the Baron. The game is stalled yet again.
So OMG, they picked up the one good fight and then some side lane plays, but FPX have to remind everyone they are still ahead in the macro and in gold in this game. So FPX, they take an important Baron while FPX and while OMG are rather not ready to respond. They gave up that vision control towards that top side, and Chocho holds the door shut on that Alistar. It's a good hook at least from Ppgod to catch Chocho as his ultimate runs out. You think maybe this is the moment, but again, the damage and the gold is still in favor of FPX, and that means that they can take these fights and threaten people like Abel, even with just the incidental damage from Tibbers.
He's got 2.5. You can see that Abel, I mean, is again the person who is doing damage for the side of OMG, but it's not enough in the end because FPX have now broken down all outer turrets. They've got the Baron, they've got the gold lead, 5,000 at 25, and Nymaera, we got to remember that this is a Chemtech Rift. Like, what use are we going to find here in one of the weakest dragons in the game, as OMG aren't even going to be on Soul if they get this in 15 seconds, which they won't because they have no priority here at all. Ppgod, Peekaboo.
I would throw it out there. That's probably better for OMG in some ways, because it means that you're losing the game already, so you're not threatening losing control of the map through Dragons and Dragon's Soul as well. Maybe it means you can play through side lane a little more, which is exactly what Creme's doing. He's back into the side lane again, as he has been the whole game. When you have this Shiv LeBlanc, you have so much wave clear, it's very hard to respond to someone like that in the side lane. So FPX, they're going to get themselves that tower towards bot side, but because Creme split the map, OMG at least gets something back from the negative Baron power play, from their side at least.
Didn't even get demolished. Surprised Creme just wanted to back away so soon. Probably thought he'd get it. Minions, yeah, they do the work for him anyway. This Dragon goes down to FPX in the meantime. 5k gold lead still there. And FPX still continue being the favorites at this point. Nymaera, we've got a 3-item Aphelios. We've got a lot of contingency to deal with something like the Samira. I think for OMG, the game just continues getting harder, and we just got to kind of manage expectations as to whether they can find a miracle fight with numbers advantage.
They really are looking at Creme to say, what advantages, what openings can you give us on the map? Cat positioning aggressively again. FPX on the other side. They need to find a way to leverage their advantage. They've struggled to do that, honestly. They've found some fights where OMG have had to commit overly hard in the mid lane, and of course that Baron. But they don't have the soul to force a winning game state over to OMG. They can't close the game right now.
I will say it would have been better that maybe FPX had all the Dragons, Nymaera, because then you'd have an early Elder. Maybe you go for the full 5-on-5 and you can actually flip the game. A little bit more realistic than it is now, as they continue staying topside, using the Baron to its most efficiency, as I feel like we have already run out of the set buff. Anyway, as Hacker just sits mid and is pushing the wave, Creme threatens him a bit. Aki's spotted, Hacker doesn't have to stick around, and we continue playing push and pull here between top and mid.
One of the extra bonuses of the buff sharing is that Creme and Aki can both get blue buff fairly readily, especially when you don't have a mana mythic. Creme is trying to, again, harass on the side. He is joining the team more now, though. He's actually being here and available, has Night Harvester to bring to play.
Ppgod going in, a little bit dangerous. Shanji's tagged out as well. Hacker dealing with Creme at the side. Creme is winning this one. Even isolated. No! Never mind. Hacker gets off the queue. Tastes their fear for a solo kill off the side.
Big moment. Hacker can answer the LeBlanc in the right situation, and his own Duskblade comes in very, very handy. Could have used the stopwatch as well, didn't need to. And he goes for the reset on the jump as his last evolve. Love that for him. The extra jump range, the resets. Maybe that'll come into play a little later. OMG, you can see them though. It's very hard for them to play out this map the way that they wanted to. Creme couldn't sit down towards this bot side, harassing that inner turret and whoever came to answer it. Joined the fight, and he loses the 1v1 on the side. Hacker, great damage in the isolated 1v1, uses that ultimate to get that passive again and again. And the thing is, you can't cancel the Q animation by getting out of range of it. The animation starts before Creme can flip back, he dies.
That's big for Hacker, man. I mean, this is good because at the start of the split, we're like, dude, well, what's going on with Hacker? You know, he has splits where he's up and down. He hasn't really been the best jungle for a couple of years now, or at least in that discussion. This is a really nice game from him, and they committed to him after bringing in Bonnie for a series. We talked about it, where FPX were obviously deliberating their options. And with someone behind Hacker, knowing that he can be replaced, I think Hacker, you know, that fire's been thrown into him, and he's really stepped up. This game, a great example of it, as he is 60 CS up. He's the 3-item Kha'Zix with stopwatch. Hacker, as Nymaera just told you all, has evolved the wings. So we are getting Reset City. We're getting a confident man who's ready to take over and finish this game one. FPX on a bit of a storm, as OMG looking like a game one loss still. It's up to them to find a miracle with this Samira, with this Renekton. I don't know, I just feel like I'm talking baloney here because of how hard this game feels and how small those options really are.
In OMG, they've done more with less in some games. They are one of our strangest teams when it comes to late game as well. But it does feel like the game one curse for them has struck once again. They haven't really hit the ground running, and FPX have been more than willing to take the fight to them. Creme has gone back to the side lane. That's where OMG found their advantages beforehand. But you can see the camera zoomed out because Hacker is again waiting in the wings. A lot of damage now in this Kha'Zix with so much gold in pocket.
And so much range. Comes with the leap as well. OMG moving towards the Baron. They've got a LeBlanc up in that bottom lane with teleport available. But OMG, it's about the pathing here. Ward from FPX going to spot them as they move away. Means FPX can go into river, clear the vision away themselves. Knowing that, yeah, I mean, Dragon's not going to give anyone soul here. FPX just moved to Baron again. And look at the guns. What great timing.
Great timing indeed. If you start diving into that Aphelios, he's about to switch out of that as well, probably going into his green-white just after that, so he can put down turrets. Diving into turrets feels absolutely hellish. But they haven't been able, though, to start this Baron and force OMG into a bad situation. They've lost themselves the inner turret already. They've got themselves green-white. They want to fight.
Well, are they going to just flip the Baron instead? Look how quickly Aki almost tries to get the steal, but now he's in the pit with a bad boy. LWX, look at him. Oh my god, it begins. Ladies and gentlemen, don't look at Abel. Or maybe you should. Should you? Nah. I told you, it's Aphelios time. I even doubted myself as teleport in to die, I guess. Well, Creme knows it's over as he flashes, but guess who follows him? LWX burns him down for a triple kill. Abel was close. I started believing, but you gotta look at Ninja Gaiden on FPX and the world champion to carry them through game one.
LWX does it again, finally gets himself some damage down, but it really was that leading gold advantage in the jungle which flipped things for FPX right from the start of the game. First blood, through to the macro, through to the objective secures. FPX had OMG's number in game one.
And a beautiful rendition of play to boot. Only one moment where you kind of question what FPX were doing in that team fight towards bottom side jungle, but outside of that, everything looks superb. A real masterclass in the early game, as you said. They played it slow. They knew OMG had to pull the trigger, Nymaera, but OMG just never found an opportunity to make the first 15-20 minutes work in their